Welcome to the California Automated Drone Podcast, where we talk to experts in the field about their experiences in the drone industry. I am your host, Josh Friedman, here with our head of office security, Yogi. And today we are talking to Jerry Pham about his life and over a decade of experience building drones, crashing drones, and rebuilding drones.
There are drone sports community groups in just about every community.
Oh, I want to be a drone service provider and I'm going to go do drone mapping. Well, for what?
All of the things that I've done is to promote safety for our industry.
But if you really want to go in depth into understanding what you're doing, a community college along with online learning is a way to go.
Jerry, thank you so much for joining us today. Where are you located? Where are you joining us from?
I am from Irvine, California right now in the sunny state of California.
Love it. Not too far from where I am as well. You've been in the drone industry for quite a long time and you've done a lot of different things that we're going to get to today. But when and how did you get your start flying drones?
Probably I was watching the internet one day and I saw Hackaday did a event and they made a little drone out of Raspberry Pi. I tried to replicate it. Didn't go so well for that year around I think 2008, 2009. But more research finding from some Chinese companies, you could find the same parts and some other flight controllers and use this open source program. And, it just took off from there.
So you had a background in what before? Software development, engineering, robotics? What was your background before you got into it?
I started actually into computer programming, did some software, went to C++, got a little bit tired of programming at that level, went to more computer hardware work, and then started stumbling into more physics works and robotics. And then got into AC/DC, and then straight into more robotics and aerodynamics.
I love it. And what was your first kind of jump into the arena? Did you get into racing right away, or were you kind of developing some of your own drones? What was your first sort of adventure in the industry?
Pretty much it was working with the school. Before drone racing was started, we started a small little STEM group at our college. Pretty much the school would give us some funds so we could make some cool, fun science projects and present it to the school. That boomed up to, I believe we did a huge event where multiple people came out. And I believe you came out to one of our major events and did a nice little show. We did racings around our little boneyard of airplanes. It was a good experience. But yeah, it all started from just how does this thing fly?
I love it. And for a while you were doing some drone education. What was that experience like?
It started actually at the college too, because at the time there's no one doing the drone education. So I had practice and talking with my friends, and we started doing small little classes. Started teaching our own students how to fly and learning the laws ourselves. And then at the same time, I started looking into other parts of the school, and they actually reached out and asked if we could start doing some work for them for Newport Back Bay. So we started doing some surveying, taking some pictures. So I had background in computer programming, and my buddy is as well. And we started doing, back in, I believe when DJI 2 just came out and stitching photography just started. So we were just like, oh, this is pretty awesome. So we took that theory and made it into a surveying where we could actually program a JavaScript into finding certain colors on a map to signify certain trash in the Back Bay. So that was a project that we did with Newport Back Bay, OCC, and some other organizations around Southern California as well. Shares was part of it as well.
OCC, Orange Coast College, is one of the community colleges down here in Orange County that has a great drone program right now as well. So you went from basically computer science to creating your own drones and programming drones, and you were obviously early on in mapping. It's gotten so much easier now, hasn't it?
Oh, geez, yeah. What a 3-month project in the Back Bay could probably take someone in 8 hours now, which is wow. Yeah, we had to go through many loops and try and just get the drone up because it was so close to the airport. Now there's certain ways around that.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, you mentioned the Phantom 2. The DJI Phantom 2 was also my first drone that we were using for, photography and videography back in 2013. It was an amazing way, though, to get the camera into the sky, and it was cheaper than anything else available, and really, helped us to get that amazing perspective that now everyone's kind of used to as a modern look.
Oh yeah.
Of all the things that you do, I'm curious, what is your favorite thing to do with drones and why?
It was probably doing the education circuit. I started from, teaching at the college or helping the students and then doing the projects from there. Then started working with some nonprofit organizations to start doing education of teaching drones, but more teaching the high schools students how the whole idea of aerodynamics and the robotic side of drones because they had no idea of doing anything. It was definitely a fun experience because these were underprivileged students that never had the opportunity, and luckily we were part of that group that gave them the opportunity to branch out and do more into a sector they never thought they could, and a lot of them are now doing more into that, which is awesome.
I love it. What are some of the skills that you were teaching those students at the time?
It was all the basics of aerodynamics, what for the drone specifically. Then behind that, the science of why it's doing what it's doing, why there's four propellers versus two or one, why there's only certain, why we do battery safety versus, certain other things from other companies. It was more of a comparison of, hey, look at these new technologies that is available to you at the consumer level. Now you can actually branch out to something else. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting experience.
I love it. And you've been like a staple, I think, in the Orange County drone community for a long time. I mean, either from
Oh yeah.
racing fields to, again, repairing, building. Um, what's your, other than teaching, as far as like services, whether it be photography, videography, mapping, robotics, computer science, like what's your favorite skill that you have that you apply to drones?
Um, Reverse engineering. Pretty much because the idea of crashing a drone is so often, definitely in my case, which is almost every day. You always find something new that breaks, so you try to repair it every shape, way, and form, and then you have a graveyard of parts, and then you try to salvage those parts to make new parts. So it's pretty much the reverse engineering, the DIY phase of the hobby or the sector of technology is just fun because it used to be more of like a 2D type of more ground level technology. Now you have air. You can even go even further into water if you like to. So yeah, I've been dabbled into that little arena for a bit, but too expensive.
I know, right? And we've talked to other people as well about future careers in drone mechanics. To be a mechanic, like an auto mechanic, but for drones. What are some advice that you would give to somebody that maybe wanted to be a drone mechanic one day? Things that they could do now to kind of prepare themselves to, be part of that industry and have a future as a drone mechanic.
Explore every sector in the technology field. I would say aerodynamics, AC/DC. There's robotics, programming side. You'll find your niche in that field, and then branch into somehow making a device, which most people decide they want to do a drone. Everyone started from somewhere, and drones is a very good way to introduce anyone into the robotics field or into programming because the drone has to, need to do something. So you have to program the drone how to do what.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, sciences where it really is multifaceted. It's not just a one single thing. Particularly understanding the software development, but then also understanding the hardware and robotics, I think is probably key, for anybody that wants to do that. And, you've been excelling at that for a long time.
Thank you.
So you mentioned, and you didn't tell me what it is yet, so I'm going to be just as surprised as everybody else. You've got a new adventure that you're starting, a new thing you're trying to do. What is that? Tell us about it.
So I'm stepping away a little bit from the robotic science for a little bit and dabbling into medical science. So the new proposition that was passed in California for the stem cell research to get certain amount of money for funding and certain research for wellness. So I dabbled into that. Got reached out by a couple doctor friends to see if we could start a business out in Newport to promote wellness with stem cells without the the embryo. It's not that. It's the umbilical cord of the baby. I guess it's just that portion. It's not anything else. That's just one of the portions that we're dabbling into. But there's other alternative wellness that we're looking into as well. But that was one of the major ones that I'm dabbling back into is medical.
I love that, and you're in the right area to do that as well. I mean, Southern California obviously has a huge industry in medical devices and medical technologies. I mean, I can imagine one day, we're already starting to see organs being delivered by drones. That we're going to be seeing stem cells and other parts and things like that.
And that was the main reason to get into the field was how can this one device could be transported easily throughout certain locations because sometimes since we're in certain locations, there's Balboa Peninsula or Catalina Island. That ferry only comes, 2-3 hours. You can easily transport product back and forth through a drone, depending on the weight. But that methodology is probably what I was hoping for that we could test. Don't know that's going to be happening anytime soon, but the idea of that whole network will be coming hopefully soon.
Yeah, I can see the challenge to that. For those that don't know, Catalina Island is a few miles. How far is it from the coast? Long enough. It's definitely beyond. It's definitely beyond line of sight, right?
Yes.
That said, yeah, it is an island, and getting supplies to and from the island involve logistics. And yeah, there's no reasons why drones should not be part of the procedure, to ferry things back and forth. And particularly if there's a medical emergency, how incredible would it be to just get something there from the mainland or vice versa, as needed.
Like something needs a vaccine or someone needs some type of blood I throw or anything, because the idea of transporting that type of material, even through helicopter, is also the same idea. But, for reoccurrence and a proper network, it'll be nice.
I love it. Well, Jerry, I feel like you've always been part of the drones for good movement, trying to find new, awesome ways that, the world could just be better because of having drones in it. What advice would you share with somebody who kind of wanted to get into this and didn't know where to start? We'll end it with this question. So what advice do you have for people?
I would say challenge yourself right away. Go into a field that you are not comfortable with. You have zero control of the outcome. So you pretty much have to have the ideas. It is what it is. Just to start off, so you won't be having any emotional input on what's going on around you, because this technology is very, very attractive to the eye, but it's also very, very intimidating once you start learning the back end logistics. Because we haven't even talked about the legal law, regulations, or anything. This is just the front end stuff, the fun stuff. Building definitely will branch off into that. If you're definitely someone who likes DIY, who either likes programming, definitely dabble into something like this. Drones is definitely a great tool to get you into other aspects, into programming or into AI, because definitely that's a big network for this technology now. Definitely now there's a drone on Mars. Yep.
I know, it's flying around Mars. Is that incredible?
Autonomous, and it's pretty interesting. It's like 1:30 here, but I don't know how much it's going to be over there since the gravity's completely different.
No, but there's some very smart people who do know the answer to that. I'm sure they have the exact answer to that.
Exact answer. I just know it only landed like 1:30 in Earth, but I don't know how it is over there.
I made the mistake of saying that was the last question, but let me ask one more since you brought that up. Since our website is called California Automated, and part of that is that drones are obviously part of the automated technology. There's a fear that there's going to be no more use for a pilot down the road. That soon or later, right? There's going to be a situation where pilots will be obsolete. Nobody's going to be flying drones. They're just going to fly themselves and do things. I think that's far off in the future. But what are your thoughts on autonomous drones? And is a piloting a thing of the past?
It's pretty. That's a pretty big question right now, just because we're kind of in a tipping point right now. You see right now how Amazon and all these big name companies are using drones for for goods and services. And now there's big companies out there that are doing transportation that has a proper AI computer on the drone itself. But then, history taught us that anything that's human made is not always perfect. So you definitely want something on there, or at least some type of pilot to take over these type of devices if something go pretty bad, even if it's behind a desk, because they've been doing that for, I don't know, decades now in the military. So to teach this type of skill already, which they're doing now with the simulation, it's no different. DJI has been doing that with behind their little tablet screen, and now they do their actual simulation where it's, kind of give you more spatial awareness. So the idea of having a pilot, or even have a degree of a pilot to have more knowledge of what could happen in a certain event is definitely key versus a normal person who has no idea what's going on. Because you don't know what headwind is. You don't know if, what does this thunder mean in front of me? What am I going to do with that? Robot, it only has certain commands, and depending on who programs it, how well it is.
Right.
In early stages. So, it's going to be more sophisticated, of course. But yeah, the human factor always going to be needed, definitely for the pilot. But being just a pilot is not going to be the only thing you have to be. You got to be electrical engineer, you got to be mechanical engineer, you got to learn about the software. Pretty much you are going to be a second computer.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, there's going to be a need for at least human interaction for the foreseeable future. I agree as well. Well, Jerry, I appreciate you sharing just a little bit of your time with us and sharing some information about your vast knowledge about all the different arenas. And I wish you the best of luck with your upcoming adventure in medicine and medical technology. I think it's a great fit for you.
I'll be back. Don't worry, I'll be back.
I have no doubt. Well, again, thank you, and thanks to everybody for watching and listening. If you want more information about drone careers or where you could get educated to help your career take off, please go to CaliforniaAutomated.com, find us on social media, like, share, subscribe, and learn. This has been another awesome episode of the California Automated Drone Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Friedman, and we spent a little bit of time here with Jerry Pham, and we're both reminding you to fly safe and fly often.